Good morning, everybody. This is Jay Kasperitz with your co-host Dominic Perillo and Doug. We're here with the Elite Performance Team podcast. We're speaking with Doug Paik. He owns a martial arts studio in Westwood, New Jersey. Doug, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone. Yes, you can call me. People call me Master Doug or MD for short. Well, I have a school in Westwood, New Jersey, as you mentioned, and we teach Taekwondo for kids, a mixed style of Taekwondo. I believe in a little more progressive style, not just teaching how to kick, but how to become a well-rounded student in all types of styles. And we teach mainly Krav Maga to adults. It's a very effective and practical means of self-defense for the street, for anybody, not just like a professional UFC fighter. You can be a stay-at-home mom, or you can be an extreme athlete, but Krav Maga is a style that can work for everybody.
So I know that I've worked with you over the last 2-3 years, and usually come in prior to you shipping off to do your, I believe it's like a certification for Krav Maga. You're going off to Chicago.
Yes.
How long have you been doing that?
I've been practicing Krav Maga for about 8 years right now. But Krav Maga let me explain to you a little bit about the style. So if you put all my martial arts experience, which is over 30 years, that's pretty much what Krav Maga is. So Krav Maga per se is about 8 years, but in general, over 30 years of martial arts training. So Krav Maga is a system that incorporates all the effective styles, what works in the street, in a realistic way. So it incorporates styles, techniques from karate, from taekwondo, from American boxing, to wrestling, to jiu-jitsu, from Muay Thai, to kung fu. It takes what works and what's practical that normal people, everyday people can use. So if you think like that, over 30 years of training is my experience. And going to Chicago to become certified as an instructor, I found this organization called Alpha Krav Maga, and it is legitimately the most well-known and I would say real association to learn Krav Maga from. And so I became a certified black belt with them, and I went to training 4 or 5 times a year, weeks at a time. And it's intense training. You're learning from people who were commandos in Israel. You're learning from law enforcement officers who obviously take their job and their training very seriously. And so I learned, and the training was quite rigorous, to be honest with you. Especially learning, being certified at an older age, sure. I guess.
Now, do you find, when did you first start doing martial arts? Is it something you started doing when you were younger? And how did you first get interested in doing martial arts?
Oh, well, being Korean and coming from a martial arts family, my father was a Judo instructor in the military, and my uncle, he's the great and famous Grandmaster Bai here in New Jersey, and he brought Taekwondo to popularized Taekwondo in New Jersey over 40 years ago. So he's been a very reputable person who influenced me, and so from a young age I had pretty much no choice.
That's fantastic, actually.
And I was growing up here. I was growing up in Queens, in Bayside, Fresh Meadows, Queens, right by Flushing. And when I was growing up in the 70s, there were not many Asians. Hardly any Asians. It was me and the Chinese takeout place.
Yeah.
Kid. And so everybody thought I was the Chinese. My father, I owned the Chinese restaurant in the corner. So I was picked on a lot. There were very little Asians back at when I was growing up, and so being ridiculed and made fun of and bullied throughout my youth. Martial arts was a way out for me, a way to not only defend myself, but and I was in a lot of fights, if you can imagine. And you think kids are mean now? Back then, there's no
timeout rooms either.
Exactly, right? it was really growing up pretty much, um, you know, in the old
Sure.
school. And
Doug,
so
you've been doing martial arts recently too. For how many years?
I've been doing it about a year. I started last September,
Uh-huh.
and I do a very different style of, it's more Japanese jiu-jitsu, and it's rough,
Mhm.
a lot of rough stuff. But throws, a lot of our throws, I guess the rolls anyway, are judo rolls,
Right.
where we're coming out of certain arm bars and things like that. But I had done Brazilian jiu-jitsu when I was in the police academy, and I never really fell in love with it. I didn't want to be on the ground. You know, as a cop, I didn't want to be on the ground. I had all this stuff around my waist. I was in this nice, pristine uniform. I wanted to be standing, and this martial arts is more standing.
Right. Same thing with Krav Maga. You know, the idea is to be able to get back on your feet. You know, not fight on the ground, but you know, we do have to learn. Jiu-jitsu, we have to understand, because you know, whether you want to or not, the other person, it might be
If he wants you on the ground.
exactly.
Right.
So we have to actually have a good understanding of all the different styles like that.
Now, Doug, are you hands-on at your facility? Are you teaching people the actual martial arts, or do you have instructors doing it?
I'm at a stage where I've developed a staff and a student body that I don't have to actually be there all the time right now, thank God. You know, I love teaching, and I try to be on the floor as much as possible. But you know, in order to grow, in order to also live a happy, productive life,
Sure.
you know, I can't be stuck there all the time. I'm there, but luckily I don't have to teach all the time. I have my staff who are well trained and able to do so without me. But there are days and in the schedule where I personally want to and have to teach, especially the higher level students that we have. And especially actually my main job right now is to train the staff so that
Sure.
they can be like disciples and teach the masses.
Sure. Is there a certain mindset you try to instill in your staff to instill in your students?
Yeah, it's all about the student.
Sure.
It's all about the student. So, for example, you know, it can get frustrating teaching. You know, I can lose patience. We all do, right?
Sure.
And these days, it's not like back in the day where you know, where you can be disciplined and parents can force their kids to continue and not quit, or even not many. Back in the day, you didn't have many outlets or activities, so you know, you didn't have many choices to do so many different things. But these days, it's different for children and adults.
Sure.
So it gets frustrating, and you lose patience because, and then people and students quit all the time because
Yeah.
they can't stick to anything, especially when it gets hard. And so the mindset that I've had throughout the years, and I try to instill in my staff, is believe in the students, believe in what we're teaching, right? You know, just like I don't want to call a salesperson, but you know, if you were to buy something, the best salesperson is one who really believes it and can express it and persuade because they have that passion. It's the same thing with what we're teaching. You have to believe in what we do works, and you have to believe that what we do can really change and affect lives and influence them in a positive way. And we have to believe that what we have, what we're offering, the service we're providing, is what people really truly need to help them you know, improve their lives, as well as develop the important character values and traits, as well as overcome whatever situation that they have in their life. So I believe in that, and I see the outcome. So the important thing that I believe in, that I try to instill in staff, is really seeing the outcome and envisioning how that person, how your student can be, and how later you have to see the end result. You have to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
That's freaking awesome.
And
yeah.
you have to portray that so that the students can understand, my staff can understand, and get through all the hard times.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, that's what we try to instill here too. Like personally, it's I believe discipline. You have to be disciplined. You have to visualize what you want. If you don't have a focus or a goal, basically, then you're basically focusing on everything. And if you want to focus on something and achieve a certain goal, you have to have an actual target for it. So with what I try to do, especially with my patients and my clients that I coach, is that I don't just talk the talk, you gotta walk the walk too. So you have to be an active participant in exactly what you do. So when I preach to people, you know, eat healthier, eat clean, I try to stick with like more of a fat adapted diet. I have to eat fat adapted. When I tell people you got to get outside, exercise every day, I do, and I post it on social media, not to show like, hey, look at me, I'm better than you because I'm getting up in the morning, but listen, I work, I have other responsibilities, I got a lot of things that I'm juggling, but even today, I didn't have enough time to do a 2 or 3 hour ride, but I got enough time in to get a serious 1 hour ride on the bike.
Right.
And this way I'm showing that although this is what I'm preaching in my office and asking my patients and clients to do, I'm doing the same thing. And Dom, I'm pretty sure you're doing the same thing.
What you said really resonates. You know, you have to believe in what you're doing. And when you believe in what you're doing, you're more passionate about it.
Yeah.
It just falls. It kind of falls in line with it. And both Dr. Jan and I, we absolutely walk the walk and talk the talk. But it's extremely important to believe in whatever product you're offering is, if you're doing it, you're believing in it, you're also seeing the results, right? So I give exercise out to these people, and whether they know it or not, I'm doing those exercises 5 days a week. And that's why when I demonstrate them, I demonstrate them so perfectly, because I'm doing them 5 days a week. And I post some of my workouts on social media. And again, it's not because, hey, look at me, I'm better than you. It has absolutely nothing to do with that. But if I'm doing it, so can you.
Absolutely.
If I'm making time for it, so can you. So today I was a little pressed for time. I had to go to a dentist and have a little work done before I came here today. But I went out for a 20-minute walk. So I have stitches in the back of my head as well.
I was going to ask you about that one.
So I had a lipoma removed on Friday. So Dr. Jan is always quick to tell me, no, you're okay, you can go and do this. But he actually said to me, you need to rest on this one. There's a lot of pressure in the head, you don't want to pop stitches, so on and so forth. So I'm resting. So I'm walking, because being active doesn't mean I have to have a gym membership. I have to have all this weight in my house. Whatever. I went for a walk, and I felt good. Put headphones on, listen to a podcast, and I believe in what I tell people to do. You know, and I believe that it makes me more passionate.
Absolutely. Yeah. Practice what you preach.
Exactly.
Lead by example.
Exactly. Lead by example.
What kind of clients are you currently seeing at your studio facility?
Well, we have over 350 students right now, thank God. And we teach kids ages from 4 years old to adults who are actually in their 70s. We have, even elderly couples who come in and want to, get their black belt before they die. It's wonderful. And but we're very age specific. So for kids, we break the ages down. We don't just throw them into a room and have a little romper room. We're very, very age specific, and we teach according to what their natural needs and abilities are. So I don't think, if I can toot our school's horn a little bit, you'll see, you go to places where they'll just throw in 4 to 7-year-olds together in one room and teach the same thing, but you can't do that. If you think about it academically, you're putting a kindergarten with a 3rd grader or a 4th grader. You can't do that.
They're not learning the same.
Exactly. And kids these days, I don't know why, but even 7-year-olds, they don't know right hand from left hand. So how do you expect a 4-year-old, to kick and punch correctly? So we teach according to what we believe is very important for their developmental growth and maturity, so as well as physicality. So we have 4 and 5-year-olds in one group, we have 5 and 6-year-olds in another group, we have 6 and 7-year-olds in another group, and 8 to 11 in another group, and they're all taught differently according to the way they can understand and translate it.
That's a huge aspect of it.
And so we teach Taekwondo to them, Taekwondo based, because it's it has a lot of character building, philosophies and methods. And I believe in building their character first, before teaching them how to punch and kick. And that's what it's about. And at the same time, Taekwondo is really more of a dynamic kicking art. Not much hands and other you're not going to just try to kick somebody in the face in the street. So I like to incorporate a little mixed style, being a Krav Maga practitioner and an MMA coach. I believe in teaching them how to box. I believe in teaching them how to defend themselves on the ground properly with using jiu-jitsu and wrestling, because again, in the street or other kids, might be more proficient at them and I don't know, tougher than them in different areas. So they have to become well-rounded so that they can get back on their feet and protect themselves properly. So we have a progressive style taekwondo for kids. They learn a little bit of everything, to be honest with you, like Krav Maga. And for adults, we teach taekwondo too, but our main program is Krav Maga. And the type of clients that come to that are, we have, I guess, stay-at-home moms. We have, working dads, career dads. We have we have a lot of law enforcement. We have different types of professionals who need this type of training for their safety and for their also their job requires for them to have a certain level of, for example, they could be working in different dangerous areas, and so they need to be able to protect themselves and as well as their clients. I'm sorry. We have let me get back to the kids. So the kids, for example, they join because most of the time these days they're being bullied.
Sure.
And so their parents come in, oh, my child's being bullied, can you help them, overcome this situation with this person? Yes, but no. It's why are we try to, bullying is a major issue, why kids come, but, and we try to help them develop the character so that they know how to handle bullies better.
Sure.
It's not about fighting them, it's about helping them to mature, within themselves.
Yeah,
So,
have some self-confidence.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Understand that they can move and they could depend upon themselves too.
Exactly.
Sure.
We also have a lot of our kids are athletes, and they do multi-sports, and
Sure.
They recognize that martial arts, especially taekwondo, helps give them balance, endurance.
And
They-
that's exactly